Funerals are usually drab. Funerals are really sad. On Easter, we all here at the Tryp Funeral. Rhett, Bob, Eric, the frauds company is set to rest. Said it from day one. And I was one of the first people to be very vocal about this. And I was attacked relentlessly on the internet by these frauds, especially the thugs over in Miami. But sort of find out who all the key players were, what all their websites were, did background checks on them, looked at what, got all their details, their addresses and everything, and then took about a month or so and then took the battle to them and started pounding them, really making them look like assholes. All guys involved in Bitcoin frauds. I mean, they're involved in so much fraudulent activity, and you just got to go club. You got to club them out. Like Mark Roughton says, you got to take the hammer and you're going to go bang, bang, bang. It's easier to do that with a company like Tryp, but you know, when you're up against a huge Uber or Lyft, I now have to set up another Twitter account because Twitter shut down my account because I was relentlessly attacking them. So obviously that tells me that people at Uber or Lyft have a relationship maybe with the guy at Twitter. You know, what's his name? Gorsey or whatever his name is. So they shut down my Twitter account, but I'll be back up on Monday. Set up a new one and carry on. If that's shut down, I'll set up the next one. If that's shut down, I'll set up the next one.
So what is going on here? Are you planning on paying for the apps and the services?
Is anybody from Tryp signing up from unemployment?
You don't have someone to guide you when you already are testing the new apps. Right.
Problem is you can't show any income, so it's nothing there. You're not going to qualify for unemployment.
Either are you lying to the users on Thursday night when you're telling them that you're testing new apps and you don't really have new apps? Or are you lying to us by saying you plan to pay us when you don't plan to pay us because you've actually already got and started building new apps? And the reason he was worried about this is, again, if you go back to the history, previously Tryp actually owed the previous software development company, and you can see this over here. I'll zoom into this.
So the smart thing is they took a lot of the info. I mean, they have a lot of good, credible information that they can use in court, right?
From their, I believe it was their CTO, George, from a company called Mac App Studio. And look at this code. How sad is this? I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see. It says that Tryp owed them over $100,000 and still, to my knowledge, has not paid them, right? It's just insane how many people you can go around and not pay. So it says here, you want to read that part?
Yeah, we are a startup company, just like you, and the pending payments of over $100,000.
Owe them $100,000.
Hurt you or any other startup company, and the livelihood of more than 100 innocent families depending on our company.
Well, those are the guys that'll obviously join the suit against Tryp. I'll join it too. I mean, they owe me $149, but I signed up to get into their back room to see what's happening behind the scenes. I didn't expect to make a cent, but I wanted information on the inside, or, you know, like what is their MLM setup like? How are they conning the people in? What promises are they making?
One of the things in my observation, like to file this lawsuit cost tens of thousands
Tripping
of dollars
out
already just to file it, and I'll share the lawsuit a little bit later. Well in the numbers of what most people make in a year as a salary over here, right? So when you think about that, how can a driver go up against them to fight for their rights? It's insane, and
that's why they've gotten away with this kind of stuff for so long. And there's a history of this happening with Bob, and it's all documented.
History with Bob.
Court documents. There's articles.
I've made the video.
About his run-ins with these kind of legal matters in the past, the SEC, and
he's running with the SEC. I've said all of this shit right in the beginning. Why is not anybody listening?
If you don't have our legal system is rigged in a way that if you don't have the money to fight it, you're not gonna win. Ray
Crees, what's going on? You said you're confused. So basically, they're exposing Tryp, the fraudulent MLM Ponzi scheme wannabe rideshare company that signed up thousands of drivers and took their money and did not deliver. And it's based on a couple of corrupt people, Bob McNulty, Rhett and Eric, who have a history. Bob McNulty has a history of doing this. He screwed over the SEC. He got massive fines. He's had tons of lawsuits against him.
And so Munib is questioning him on that. And
it's all a pack of cards.
Specific item, right? So he says, we are doing all right over here. Thanks for asking. I hope the team and families are okay. So he's being, is very business-like.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah, very diplomatic. So he goes on to say, as far as what I have communicated is true, meaning that they need a new technical lead. They don't have someone reliable who can advise them on that. He goes on to say, now check this out. This is Bob's son, right? Bob on a call, literally a few days before, said Bill's got everything under control. Bill has said on multiple calls, I've got technology under control. And then he goes on to say, this is Bob son, the Chief Operating Officer of Tryp, saying, Tryp does not have a team member that is technical enough in nature to advise on the system that FundBuy was contracted to build. If you are implying that Bill is that person, it's best to confirm with Taha that Bill is a marketer with project management capabilities. Look at this part. If you are implying that Bill is that person, the technical lead, he is a marketer with project management capabilities. Just let that settle in for a second. This is the person that Bob is saying he's got technology under control. And this is something I know to be true. Bill is really good at SEO. You can see from the stuff that he's put out. Those really good
Teddy says Bob McNulty ran into serious trouble with the SEC. He does a common thing. He just changes the names of the company. He opens up one company after the other. Sits down there in Orange County. I went and checked out his house the one time. I wanted to see where this guy lives. Right? You got to know the players that you might be up against. Right? He's down there in the OC. Like father, like son. Bob and Rhett. Cut from the same cloth, right?
That, and I just thought of, did he call you asking like how to find bugs in the app, or like where those were written out? And I mean, it's all in a lot.
Oh yeah, I have messages from Bill asking me about advice on how to figure the system out. If you're so technically capable, you should be able to figure it out, right? So
it's like telling someone to just open a book,
right?
Like, want to read, just open the book.
Exactly. Now we go on to say though further that
they never had any of the licenses in any of the states. Nothing. They said they did. They said they had the insurances. It was all just a big front scam that people were buying into. These guys are going down heavy. There's a big lawsuits taking place here, right? You multiply a few thousand drivers. You want to get an idea on how many you're talking about, right? All you have to really do is go. This is the way you calculate how many members they approximately have. You go to Facebook. You look up the main Tryp Facebook room, and you see how many people are registered. That's usually 1/3 of the amount. Roughly 1/3 of the amount will register on Facebook. So of the actual users. So my guess is there's about probably like 2,000 or so registered on Facebook. And I'm pretty sure about 6,000 people signed up. So you take 6,000 times a minimum of $149. Who's this here? So this is the old fraud over here. He looks very sick and ill. I'm not surprised if he looks in bad shape. But who are the other two?
But we'll clearly be ready to go.
He's got his Tryp cap in, so he's all in. This Mr. Fraud here, who's he?
On time, and it's all looking pretty good right now.
It's all looking pretty good.
No, I'm like you said, Bob. I'm cranking away on it. It looks like it's moving along pretty well, so we're pretty excited. The bigger thing is that hopefully we're not sitting with a great app in our hands and no markets to go to because nothing's open. Right? Bob, I think that just about covers everything. A couple people were asking just for more of an update, which Bob did give an update earlier of what is going on with Tryp. That we're knee deep into the development of the new apps. That's coming along very well. We're not at all behind on it. We're actually probably ahead on our development cycle on that, which is really good and different for us all.
Yeah, we might. We're testing the apps currently right now, so they know that we're in testing mode right now for the apps. So yeah, it's something different, right? We're ahead of schedule.
Ahead of schedule.
Definitely something.
Definitely.
So just imagine, guys, like literally I mean, I don't even have to say anything. We're testing the apps currently right now. We're ahead of schedule. We're great. And then
who's testing the apps? Because the only person that I know that's capable of testing the app and still with the company is Eric, and he's in California. So no one's in New York. No one's in Miami. Vincent's in Miami, but I never did any UAT with Vincent.
Who's
The
Vincent?
only people that know how to do UAT in the company was Nick, myself, Jeremy Adamson, and Eric.
By the way, Jeremy Adamson left
At the same time
that we did.
the entire technology team basically was left with me, right? So the project managers, the engineers, developers, business analytics managers, and the UAT folks. Nick, the only person left was Eric, and I know he's not testing the app, and we'll talk about that. You want to send me that text message again from Eric, where he talked about whether he's testing the app or not recently? We'll share that here in a second.
And I sat in the meeting with these frauds right in the beginning. They tried to bring me in as the spokesman. So they started taking pictures with me, and they immediately put it out on the internet saying that I endorsed the company. I then fired back and I said, no. There's no endorsement. Just because you have me listening to you guys is not an endorsement. So I got really upset about that, right? And I knew the moment I was there in that first meeting, except for the poor guy that referred me and took me there, Eduardo. He was one of the drivers who got sucked, and he says, Torsten, I'll drive you down there. You got to listen to these guys. I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to these guys because you know, let's see what they're about. Maybe they turn out to be a legitimate rideshare company. I was there for about 90 minutes, right? Bishop, fraud. Eric, fraud. Few other people walking into the room in hired offices, just a fictitious little bullshit setup where they said, oh, this is our office here in Orange County. It was all bullshit. They just rented the room for an hour. And then when they went after the hour, over the hour, they got a little bit stressed because now they have to pay for the second hour, right? They're fucking cheap asses, man. This is what they are. And then they took pictures with me saying, somewhere the pictures are somewhere. Eduardo, you owe me a phone call, brother. You owe me a huge apology. Right? I told you from the beginning they're fraud. No, they're not frauds. They're not. I said, told you they're frauds. The first meeting with these guys, if you know how to sniff out frauds, it's easy.
I mean, it's about sharing the truth. This is not to say
they're still not paying employees, so that's the point. Like, you're not testing the app. No one's testing the app because they're not paying anybody at the company.
Right. So, and then they still haven't answered this question, by the way. And then
what's the fraud? It's easy. It's very simple. They set up an MLM, multi-level marketing Ponzi scheme where you bring in one person who pays and you use that money or use that person to recruit the recruit. And if sort of like if there are any earnings, there were none, you start paying out people with the monies you make on the one. It's a giant pack of cards.
So for those of you who are still tuning in, we have
thumbs up.
other topics, we have questions that we wanted to answer.
I know, Mark, sorry, on the one channel there's definitely an echo.
Some of these other items related to why we actually joined the company, what we saw change.
And I've confronted this Rob guy many a times, not personally, and Rhett, but they're too chicken shit to fight back because they know they're going to get pounded. The only guys that were who felt that they were bold to fight were the guys in Miami because they were 10 states away.
Questions and answers in the call. And
one thing that we definitely need to talk about is one investor, I don't want to mention names, reached out to us specifically. This person in August invested in the company at 75 cents a share. Well, there are 122 million shares. So 122 million times 75 cents a share puts the company at a $91.5 million valuation. After that point, investors who came onto the company were buying shares at 50 cents a share, which was, I believe, roughly $69 million valuation. So the person who invested prior was investing at a valuation that was about 50% higher. And after, people came in and paid a lot less. And it's securities law that says that you have to notify people who invested prior that other people are investing at cheaper prices. It's called warning people of dilution.
right.
So if you don't, that's illegal. And this person never got any notification from Bob or anybody else at the company that they've been diluted. So that's securities law that actually happened.
Just to give you context on what Nick just said, that's like, imagine you invested $100,000 in a company.
So obviously, not only did they get all these drivers, but they've obviously taken a lot of investors for a big ride, right? So they build up this fictitious front and then start bringing the real money in from the investors. And that's what he's known for.
Well, the previous person that put in 100,000, their 100K instead of going up, now is worth half that. So they just lost 50K, right? So that's sort of like same way like if you buy stocks in the stock market at $20 a stock, and then all of a sudden the stock drops to half. That's what had happened over here, and it's not the exact match. Now I'm sharing that, so I'm also talking about, we don't want to say things that are just hearsay. So I'm going to show you an email that talks about this specifically, right? So if you look at our screen right now, and I'll go into this is actually pretty insane. So like we're talking about investor related items.
Tryp.
Okay, so this is what I'm sharing on the screen. It will show how Bob treated investors, right? So
We flushed
you guys
them.
wanna check
Remember,
that
we
out.
flushed
As the Attorney
Eric,
General,
Rhett,
full
and...
rideshare professor, not yet, but probably should be. We're trying to figure out.
Oh, he's talking about me now.
Professor, we're trying to figure out good ways to sort of get the word out. This is our first attempt. I think we're going to do more things to get the word out. I do expect retaliation, but we're putting out the facts. All this stuff that I'm sharing on the screen, you can go to it. Go to tryprise.com. We'll actually add another page by tonight that'll have resources. You can go to it right away, and you can see this all for yourself, right? There's no way they can get away from this. In this one, this is an investor, a venture capitalist. By the way, this is back in April of 2019, right? So in 2019, these guys were trying to raise money at a valuation of $80 million. Now, understand what that means. So for those of you who understand startups, and Jerry, this is a little bit of the reason why, in my opinion, there's no way Tryp can raise any more money. In other words, Tryp...
They won't raise any more money. We'll make damn sure about that.
The valuation is so high. It's something called a runaway valuation. So this is a point where the company didn't have an app. It didn't have any production rights. It actually, in April, Tryp had missed payroll for 2 pay periods.
Investors do their research.
As far as I could tell, right? Why else would you miss payroll? And it was representing to investors that it's a company that's worth $80 million. Can you imagine? 67 cents a share was the price. And at that time, that would add up to 122 million shares in circulation. Okay? In August, much later, they raised money from an investor at a valuation of $90 million, at a valuation of $91.5 million.
So I typed in on their channel, we're holding their Tryp Funeral over on this side. We have a lot of people at the funeral. Dennis Torres, my brother.
If they do, then we'll bring them on to speak from their own perspective about what they were told in Miami right after.
You see their faces, you know their names, why they're not in jail. Oh, you mean... Well, these guys left, honestly, these guys made the smartest move. They got lured in, right, to solve technical issues. He never got paid. He left months ago, contacted me via email, asked me a couple of questions, and I said, listen, just low profile, get legal help and everything, and they've done. And now they're out there. They lawyered up. They've spent a few 10,000 on attorney fees. Now they have a class action. They have a good class action. They have all the evidence in the world. The smart thing is they have kept all the evidence. The best thing they did when they walked out is they just made copies of all the evidence. These guys are done. Rhett, Bob, Eric, and all of that. They'll go to jail over this.
This is a startup that's going to make $247 million in the first year.
You're a unicorn.
We're exposing the frauds.
Apple didn't even hit $100 million until year 4.
We're exposing
Most profitable
Eric,
we know of. It takes
Rhett, Bob, and Bishop. The frauds that were selling a pipe dream.
This is a company,
Yeah.
Apple, at many points, perhaps even right now, had more cash reserves than the United States government.
Disinfectant spray.
That company, which is one of the largest companies in the world,
Spray them down.
Took 4 years to reach 100 million. And here, Bob McNulty is sending an email to an investor claiming that he's going to make 247 million in the first year. So can you imagine what investors thought when they see this?
Yeah, if you're a savvy investor, you're saying you're out of your mind.
You're out of your mind.
So who do you go to and you
Too good to be true.
Venture capitalists to invest in your company. You just got to go to high net worth individuals. And the cap table for the company was about 80 people, I think.
It's over 50 for sure that we know of.
Yeah.
So what that means is basically
We're hustling private investors.
Because venture capitalists who typically invest in startups or savvy investors would ask you these questions that this person asked Bob, because Bob didn't like answering those questions because it would then be like, well, you don't have an app, you're not launched,
You have nothing.
You're out of money, so your valuation should be more, instead of 80 million, it should be more like maybe 5 to 10 million at most. At most. When they would ask these questions, Bob, this is how he would treat investors. So take a look at this. This is Bob's email. By the way, this guy is an asshole. Take
because
that
he was asking.
because he's asking good questions.
Like, I mean, you're gonna invest
Guy's an asshole
$1
because he's
million.
asking good questions.
Your money is in a sound investment. I mean, the guy was just doing his homework, but he's an asshole because
he asked questions that didn't fit the narrative that Bob wanted to put.
Inconsistent
It's a
with
genuine question. If I'm
the deck.
putting money
David
in
J, I
the company,
appreciate you.
I want to know, like, hey, what is your valuation? What is your stock? How are you just?
I mean, the investors asking legitimate questions, and Bob McNulty, the fraud, like, oh, these guys are assholes. Just because they're asking the tough questions, he can't answer those because he's fudged everything.
I had a feeling that Tryp was attempting to raise money because it was completely out, and there was potentially somebody who was going to put in $500,000 into the company. And I'm doing the maths here. I'm adding up the debts that are owed to customer care, that are owed to background check company, that are owed to the software house, that employee back bills. And when you add all of that up, you'll find out that there won't be any money left to actually operate the app. But the claim to the investor is much different, that we can onboard 10,000 drivers with the money that's coming.
Teddy
through.
says they will have to
So,
forfeit
like,
any
this
assets
was
to
gonna
pay
put
back the
$500,000.
investors. The
There's
only
no
assets
way that I
Bob
can
really
say
has is a house
I separated
down in Orange County. I already looked it up, and it's registered in somebody else's name. I was checking what type of assets the guy has. There's nothing. It's just all just smoke and mirrors. He's burned through so much money and he's been in so many lawsuits. His sort of scams just keep him going from year to year. But if you look at how he's deteriorated, you look at him optically over 3 years, how he has his physical appearance, how he's withered down. I mean, he almost looks like he has cancer, right? Because this is changing his cellular DNA, is changing his structure, because he's so involved in all this karma, all of these lies, right? Just lying all over the place here. And here it is, the pack of cards came down. Hey, are you guys off?
Now, we've talked about this quite a bit. I'm going to take a second here and go through the YouTube.
Yeah, look, I have one too.
Go through the comments on YouTube. And
Bring your bunny over here.
Guys, so
No, these are our bunnies.
No, that was mine.
We both have bunnies. These are our bunnies now. No, they're our rabbits.
That's my Torsten. You ate my candy.
No, this is.
Torsten.
thanks, Chris. Meanwhile, Bob living the life in Vegas.
Are you guys going out?
Now, look,
Look, you look pretty. Why are you all dressed up?
Facts about this.
Woo, Easter.
Torsten, in a half hour we're gonna be doing a meeting on the TV.
A meeting.
All the family.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Are you
cool.
live streaming?
I'm live streaming, but I can stop for that. This is just an interesting story. We're participating at a funeral of a company here. This is a company that I went to like 2 years ago, and I had a meeting with them, and knew right away a bunch of frauds, and the whole Ponzi scheme. This was an MLM, came down today,
However,
falling apart.
when you're running a company,
You're getting a lot of love to Laura. Hello, Laura. Hello, Laura.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Come say, oh, hello.
people to New York to open the market.
Say hello, everyone.
So
Hello.
Hello. Is this mine? Whoop, whoop. Oh my God, look, I got a Frisbee for mwah. I got a Frisbee for Easter. Yay. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. This is Taha Bassi dancing now. Da-na, juggling the eggs. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na.
Flight, 3,000 or 5,000, whatever that flight is, going from LA, Vegas to LA.
Vegas, life in Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.
living a lifestyle that's proportional to the
Happy Easter, Jay. Much love to everyone. Do we have any hearts there? Do we have any chocolates for the room? Do you have a chocolate for me, a Cadbury's?
Questions, guys. Now we're going to take some questions. Do you want to pull up the email?
Yeah,
questions?
I mean, one of the main questions that I've been seeing perusing this email list, got a lot of questions from you guys, and there seems to be one general underlying question: how do we get our money back? And that's a question that I've been receiving quite a bit from people who aren't getting responses from anybody at Tryp. Whether
We go, how can you get your money back?
Contacting the executives directly, or Bill, or anybody at the company. Nobody's getting an answer back.
Nobody gives you an answer.
Their money back. How we do that?
Here's an example, and I'm going to share with you again. We're going to get into like
You
nothing
join
to
a class
say
section.
is stuff we're making up, right? So you can see on my screen. I'm going to make this a lot bigger. So let's zoom into this. This is just one example of the multiple messages we've gotten.
These guys are not giving the answers, man.
Walter Crespo, right? And this is what we're dealing with, like, because people.
They ask, how can you join the lawsuit? How can you get the money back? They're unable to answer that. They back off from that the question. They got to come in here prepared and say, hey, we have a class action lawsuit filed in the Superior Court of Santa Ana or Los Angeles. I guess it'll be in Santa Ana because that's where Robert McNulty is registered in that district. Here is the lawsuit. You can attach your names to that lawsuit as does 1 to 5,000. This is what I want to hear from these guys. But, you know, when you're moving in the techie world, in the technical world, they don't understand that business aspect. So, come on.
I said to him, I was like, hey, I left the company.
You left the company.
For the refund already. You know, I kind of listed back to like the fact I've left the company and I can't really help you. And so he goes on to say, I've been trying for months. Everybody's playing ping pong. They tell me to talk to this person, that person. So how are you going to help? So I had to just tell him, hey, dude, just sign up for the call and we'll kind of talk.
Mark Rodden likes peanut butter.
We're going to hit on this a little bit right now. I know a lot of you are asking. So let's, Rideshare Professor, one of the things that you're talking about is a class action lawsuit. That's definitely one route to go. But the reason these people tend to get away with stuff like this is because of how our legal system is designed a little bit, right? I'm just moving the chat here.
Correct.
So I can see it easily, guys. So the way our legal system is designed is you have to kind of make sure that there's enough money on the other side to file a lawsuit. It was very hard for me to make a decision, but I'm owed, tens of thousands of dollars in expenses and salary to file a lawsuit. This lawsuit cost me over $30,000 just to file. Just to file a lawsuit to fight against the defamation stuff that they put out and the different other items that they put out. So now there's a good chance that I probably won't get any money out of this because Tryp doesn't have any money. Tryp, the company, doesn't have any money, right? And this is a fact because they haven't paid any employees, they barely can pay their server bills. They're completely out. So you have to kind of break the corporate veil and go after the people that.
Don't leave us, Betty. Why is their live feed down? Come on, guys. I'm going to refresh that. I think my live feed is up. Their live feed is down, so it's not a YouTube issue. It's an issue on their side. Here we go. Maybe they're coming back now. Guess who's back? Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Don't let us down.
One that was made by Jeff Aronson, who after he said these things, still considered working with Bob in the future and pretty much signing on for the same role that the previous CFO, who had gotten screwed over because he was the signee on all the documents. He pretty much signed on for that same role. So if you want to kind of dive
So we have this, when we were trying to dig around for information to find what we could submit in our lawsuit, this is the difference when, this is the way you can identify a person's character, right? Like, they try to dig around dirt on me and they dug hard and they couldn't find any. Versus you search like Bob's name and there's like people coming out of the V's. Like, as soon as we posted this, people started messaging me like, I have videos that Bob doesn't want me to
former
reveal.
employees from like way back were reaching out.
Yeah, that's good. People are coming forward.
Facebook groups that have been reaching out.
They're like, we all want to sue him, but we never could.
Look at this thread right here.
We'd be happy to join the lawsuit, and it's just like there's so many people that are willing to come out.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
And the time of reckoning is here. It's time justice is served. So when you kind of look at this document specifically, it actually talks about a story that's very similar to what's happening right now. So there's an article on TripRideLawsuit.com.
Go back to so Bob wouldn't even know how to hack his own toilet, man.
Called Boom Jade, which was also then later known as Beyond
And we're back.
Commerce, Then it was also known as local ad link and kaching.
Frisbee time.
Right? And it turns out it's like a whole story you can get into. Now we're going to make a separate video that gets into the detail about that specifically. But right now I want to talk about official court documents. Now this, if you notice the website, I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. Here, I'll zoom into that so you can actually see it. I'm going to zoom in.
And this was all stuff that, like, you kind of have to dig fairly deep for. So, you know, people might ask, like, why didn't you guys do your research before you joined the company? Well, we did. Like, you know, we typed in Bob McNulty in Google.
You just said it. Why didn't you do your research before you joined the company? There was so much stuff there. Was the writing was on the wall, and these guys still joined the company. Anybody that took on any type of senior position should have done their homework. I mean, I went down there to listen to their bullshit pitch for 90 minutes, and it stunk. It really did. Eric, Bishop, all of these guys. Bishop saying, oh, he's going to go to a meeting with this actor, that actor in the evening he's going to be with Leonardo DiCaprio. I asked another actress on the day, is there such a person that manages blah 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 and is throwing a big party, an event party? And she said, no, I mean, I can find out there's nothing going on. So Bishop was giving this big smoke and mirrors of this party that he was going to attend later, privately meet with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's all blah 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 blah. Eric was blah blah blah. Look at the offices that we have in Vegas, and he brings out these he cut and pasted from an actual Apple studio, like from an Apple office. This is our this is the building in Vegas. These are the offices. It was cut and paste from Apple, from an Apple store.
They failed to pay payroll taxes, right? So let me pull up the exact part. And this is exactly what you guys can do to search this, as well as to search for the keywords of what you want to look
This is
for.
a complete waste of time here. They're going over lawsuits
There's like $1 amount in
that people filed in 2016 against certain members of Tryp. This has nothing to do with Tryp. Make your case with Tryp, right? Show how these guys defrauded the drivers. Show them what legal steps they can take.W them which class action lawsuits they can join, right? But you're dealing with techie guys. They're going to take you on a wild. This is all evidence for the courts. This is not evidence you put out here in a live stream. This is just scare tactics. Hey, what they're doing right now is scare tactics. Hey, we have all of this stuff on you guys. You need to settle with us too. Whereas their role should be, they need to make it into a class action lawsuit, withhold all of this evidence, and just show the very, very basics, right? But they're showing all their cards here. This is like a poker player showing all his cards. This information is withheld. You don't share this, right? So what they're doing is they say, listen, you pay us, or we're going to use this information against you. It's not extortion. It's not extortion because they're not using the terminology, hey, if you don't pay us, we're going to show all of this evidence. They're doing it in a subliminal way. They're coming out here doing a big live feed showing all the evidence, thinking that Bob and Rhett and Eric are going to be scared now and they're going to settle up with their private lawsuit. They should make it way, way bigger than that. Go Donnie says, I hope they hunt down that Greg guy and put his ass in jail. Oh, God, that guy. That's the guy that him and his cronies started making the threats from Miami. I took that fight to Greg. Figured out who Greg is, where he stays, which condo in Miami, right? And then exposed that guy. And he really started backing off when, you bring that same energy back to them and they get scared, right? Because these people, what they do is they do things with bully. It's a classic schoolboy bully syndrome. We'll bully. We'll get this out of them. We'll get this out of them. We'll extort these guys. We'll bribe these guys. We'll bully. More like the mafia, but.
And Jeff's, not saying no.
Right. And it's insane.
Yeah, Nightjack is good that you didn't do it. Look, the worst case scenario is that they took you for $149. That's the worst case. Like they didn't take your house, didn't take your car.
First of all, was a when Mark Nofke was a CFO at BoomJ. And Mr. Persico testified that he was the chief executive officer and president of BoomJ. Mr. Persico testified that he formed BoomJ with Mr. McNulty. And
BoomJ. Look, this is
what he said. He says,
Robert McNulty. If you look at how many LLCs and companies this guy has formed over 20 years, you'll understand who he is. Nobody comes up with this idea, makes money, runs. Comes up with this idea, this LLC puts it out there, makes money, runs. Comes up with this idea. So once you do some researching, which I showed the guys in one of my first videos in 2018, 2019 on Tryp, when we started exposing who Rob McNulty, a lot of people did not want to listen, right? The writing was on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. There was so much out there.
Co-founder of the company, guys, check this out. So this is the co-founder of the company, the CEO of BoomJ, a previous company Bob has been at. Now this is the difference between someone who you know is like, you know, there's information out there that like, oh my God, you can't believe that this is going on, right? Versus
I don't know the real numbers, but that's interesting. Go, Donnie. Where are you getting those numbers from? 4 million. I made some estimates, 4 to 6 million. That was my estimate based on people that were registered in Facebook group. I was trying to run some numbers. You know, I think that about 1/3 of their drivers actually registered on Facebook, which is about 2,000 people. So, I mean, it literally could be anywhere from $4 to $10 million.
If it was staring him in the face, and he wouldn't know it if he wouldn't know it was honesty if Saint Peter himself was delivering it to him. Can you imagine, guys? Can you imagine that? What you have to do to a relationship, to a person, to say something like that about you in an official case with the United States government in a court document that's published online for the world to see. You can actually share this document in the
They need to strengthen the case. I'm going to write, as soon as I get the chance to write this here, they need to really strengthen the case by showing people how to participate in a class action. The more people you have participating in a class action, the stronger your case becomes.
So Jeff, who's the current CFO, like look at the comments that he actually made about working with Bob in the past. So this court document has a lot of information that's actually very, very valuable to understand the dynamic of what's going on, right? Jeffrey.
You know, where is he? I would really want to say this thing.
So this is where they're asking in the court documents testimony from employees about Bob's management style. So employee described McNulty's management approach, right? So they're saying, oh yeah, this is interesting. So despite that failure, Mr. Norfolk continued to work for most. Okay, right there.
Oh yeah.
So,
no, Mr. Nofke can.
in fact, Mr. Nofke had repeatedly.
Your job is
continued
to
work for Mr. McNulty despite
direct
the fact
thousands
that
of drivers into a class
he
action
felt
lawsuit
physically threatened by
and
McNulty.
strengthen.
Go back to that voicemail too.
Right. So guys, this is exactly. You want to play that one?
No. I'm just saying. Remember the voicemail that Bob sent Taha.
He's threatening
Very
me
intimidating.
with FBI. He's threatening me. I'm going to go to jail, but there's no
His career is going to be ruined.
right.
Now look at this. This guy continued to work for McNulty after because he felt physically threatened.
The guy, is physically threatened by McNulty, and they work together at BoomJ. Now, Jeffrey Aaron, who's the current CFO at TripRise, understand that
He validates this.
from anything we can see, Jeff in the previous company did not really have an executive role. In fact, let's pull up Jeff's LinkedIn real quick. To see what.
Okay,
role he
I've
had.
said my bit.
Let me pull it up. I gotta log into LinkedIn, I think. That's fine. 1 second, guys. Let's look at a little bit of Jeff's history and what role he had at the previous company.
This is a video to make these guys look bad. They've already made that case, ladies and gentlemen, in the beginning, right, of that. You guys just tell me when you're ready and I'll tone it down. They've made their case. They've showed these guys, hey, we have everything on you. They could do that in the first 30 minutes. Now they need to concentrate on the pitch to the drivers. This is how you need to join. I would have hoped they would have been more prepared with the legal side, right? Their strength would have been right now if they had an attorney next to them who said, hey, these guys initiated the lawsuit. We have all the evidence in the world. everything. We have everything. So that'll make them shit themselves. Now we need thousands of drivers to join in. But they're making it about the two of them, how they were victimized in the company, how they want settlements, how they want to get their salaries out, right? Whereby their calling is much greater. Taha Basi, your calling, and your friend here, your calling is much greater than this. So that's my suggestion. If you can reconvene, do another live show, bring in the attorney, 10% of the video on evidence. You have it all. You don't have to show them all your cards. And then make the video about the attorney directing the drivers to come on board to strengthen the case.
2006.
2006?
Yeah.
So let's look at what was Jeff's role around that time.
President, CFO, Treasurer, Easy Sports.
He doesn't even have Beyond Commerce listed on there, right?
I mean, you wouldn't want that listed after this.
Right. So it looks like he has some roles over here, but he was a controller at this company, general manager controller, which is not an executive level position from anything that I can tell. So he was a controller all this time. And if you're a CFO, you typically don't go on to become a controller. You're a CFO or director in another company. So then he's mentioning, let's kind of go into what Jeff says about Bob's employment and management skills. Right? This is the current CFO of Tryp, by the way. So he mentions this official court document saying McNulty's management approach is management by bullying. Joanne Stiff, who was also another employee at Boom J, said McNulty's management style is not very good. So just look at, you can kind of explore this document yourself, guys.
I mean, I'm looking at this too much from a business point of view, but I think what we really need to do is look at how do we...
Let me see if there's another comment from Jeff. I think this is...
Isn't that what he said?
Oh, yeah, here. Oh, my God, okay.
Their job should be to
It's unreal. It's like...
get justice for all these thousands of drivers. They have all the evidence they need that they could hand over to thousands of drivers, Tryp drivers that signed up. And a class action attorney would take this case all day long. They have all the evidence, but here they are using this evidence to get their attention, which they have. Tryp guys are watching this, right? And there's a far bigger calling here, which they're missing right now.
Money should be like tell people that like we're a startup and we need to raise funds.
Tryp Rides Tuber says that's what I want to know. Good. So I have a driver participating here. There he is. He's seeing my point. Like, okay, what do we do? What do we do for the drivers now? What do we do for the drivers affected? Do not make this personal. Make it a far greater calling.
And Jeff answers, you could hear Mr. McNulty screaming
Umbrella
from down the
case
hall, and
for
you've definitely seen that. Like, would he use profanity? And it's like frequently. Mr. Stiffer testified, I don't know if it will be management by bullying, but I think it was more unrealistic promises.
Well, remember I just said bullying. Management by bullying is using the words right there. Tommy's in the house. How are you, brother? How's the family?
So it's just again like a lot of
There were certain people, like, Jeff was definitely someone who seems to have gotten bullied, and if it's any indication of what's happening now, Jeff's probably on the line, and he probably feels threatened. Just from my observation, what I'm able to see, he probably feels threatened, and he's not combating Bob when he says, "No, I'm not going to pay these bills."
I mean, it's like me personally, he would not bully me. I feel like isn't that what bullies do? Though? They identify who they can take advantage of.
Of course, yeah.
And like, if you come after me, I'm going to straighten you out real quick. Like, you're not going to go around acting in inappropriate behavior, right? But there's people who can't always or may not know how to take a certain stand and not risk their job or not risk their profession. And he's taking advantage of that, in my opinion, and observation.
Yeah, exactly, Steve Lowe. Good job coming from a driver.
We've been on for like freaking 2 hours and 20 minutes, guys.
And everyone's still on. I mean, it is kind of a...
Thank you guys for spending time with us on Easter. I mean, like...
They missed a great opportunity. Sorry.
Corporate thriller, and I'm sure everyone's just glued.
They missed a great opportunity here.
Well, let me take some of the questions from here and kind of pull it up. Why don't you pull up the questions from the emails that have been submitted?
I mean, okay, so let's go back to how people can get their money back.
How the
Okay,
money?
yeah, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so we're talking about how you can get your money back, right? So let's go through like typical scenarios.
It's only one scenario.
Jose, you're absolutely right. Let me address this real quick before we get into getting the money back. So you are absolutely correct, Jose. The energy will be way better spent not doing this and actually building a company that helps drivers get a fair chance.
But first and foremost, like there are still people out there, and it freaking breaks my heart, like seeing the amount of money people are putting into this company still, what they're sacrificing. People are quitting their jobs, leaving the towns that they live in to go live in Miami and New York. Like before this, whatever can be done to solve these drivers' problems, we got to solve this problem first of people getting taken advantage of. And like, I just can't sit by and watch people investing thousands of dollars. That's how one dude said he invested $20K. Like people were flying people out to Miami. People like, quitting their jobs and telling their friends and family and putting their reputation on the line. So, like, that needs to get solved first.
You look at Jerry, right? Jerry, I remember when Jerry texted Eric. Eric was actually in my house, and Jerry said, "Hey, dude, I'm quitting my job because I'm going to win this contest."
The
right?
contest.
And I'm sitting over there thinking, like, dude, this contest has been put out, and the company has no money to actually fund it because the contest makes it look like you're going to make $10,000.
Haven't lied.
Like, the first month. And like here the company
No,
hasn't even paid.
They wouldn't be able to
employees.
join
He couldn't pay
local
freaking
drivers.
bill to stay online. He couldn't pay his server
These
bill.
guys,
So
these,
they're
these,
promising
their
this
names are
contest.
blacklisted,
Yet people,
dude.
innocent people like Jerry, by the way, and this is again, it tells you like how much they care. They brought Jerry on a couple of calls previously. Jerry is Phoenix Walker, for those of you who don't know. Like they were talking to people about like how Jerry's done this awesome job of like putting a barrier so that he could still drive in Corona, and that's the kind of people that no one's standing up for. Like Jerry is someone who really represented Tryp. He would play his Eye of the Tiger Rocky music. He would be out there, like he would sign up riders left and right. He would spread the word, and it's so freaking disheartening that Jerry left his job and thinking he was going to make money from Tryp, when the reality was Tryp couldn't even afford to pay his own bills. So Jerry, that's why we're doing this.
And Jerry, you wrote me yesterday saying you still got money sitting in your back office. You haven't been paid any of that money. That money was supposed to have been paid by now. Like, so all these people saying they've got money sitting in their back office. When were you supposed to get paid for that?
Guys, I helped build that system. I'm telling you that
Doesn't matter. We understand you built the system. This is honestly is missing the chance here. It's not about their ego. They're feeding their own ego. This is about, hey, this happened. Here's the evidence. Here's the solution. Here's the case number for the lawsuit to join. Here's the name of our attorney. That's it.
Going back to the point that Jose made, that the energy would be better spent helping create a new company that actually solves this.
No.
Yes, sure, it would be. But the issue is that who stands up? The basis of the new company should be standing up for drivers' rights.
And you starting a new company.
Standing up for what's
You
fair.
and you have the virus in the company.
How can
That's
you do that if
Yep.
you know that new drivers
What do you need to do?
are getting screwed over by thinking that they're signing up for a company that's already doing that,
Take it.
which is representing itself as a driver-first company, right? So I
Take
can
it.
morally say that, yeah, let's go out and support a new
Put it on the
cause,
top, huh?
and support a new cause and sort of ignore the fact that more people are getting screwed over. So yeah, maybe we will look into starting a new company and we will probably look at doing it properly. But first
No, focus.
We have to stop. This
Focus
bill that's being
on
done, or
the
this
class
race that's being done, and a lot of
action
people falling into it, right?
lawsuit, not
So let me address
on
one more thing,
your-
Professor. I want to address this point right now because now,
Here we go.
Now is the time where we kind of sort of settle these issues as well. So the issue between what happened, I think everybody kind of all over YouTube kind of got into this sort of back and forth and fights with a lot of Tryp influencers, and a lot of people got into fights back and forth with Greg because Greg is one of those guys that's like super passionate, he gets aggressive, so on and so forth.
Not scared of
to
Greg.
be clear, once again, I'm not with Tryp anymore, so I have like nothing in stake here, but I'm still the kind of guy that wants to set the record straight, right? Greg is a guy who was honestly trying to promote Tryp in the best way that he knew possible. He got aggressive at times, and you can ask Greg himself, I held him accountable for that. I said, hey man, even though you're not part of Tryp officially, you're not part of corporate, people think that you represent Tryp, so you need to do it more professionally. But also people attack Greg. So at this time, I want to direct our attention to what's important. I don't want us to sort of get into a fight, the rideshare professor versus Mark from Uber Hints versus Entrepreneur versus Greg. I want all of us to sort of come together and hold people accountable. This includes Greg. We're going to need more and more people to tell the truth. Greg is a good person. I've met him in person.
Yeah, we kicked it all the time. Greg's the man.
Right. But all of us, none of us are perfect, right? Professor, I'm sure you're an amazing person as well, but you also get back. Like earlier in this call, I talked about how I got upset with Eric. That doesn't mean I hate Eric. Eric, there was just that instance where I also lost my cool. And so I don't think that Greg is a bad person, and he was not part of Tryp. He's not an official, in an official capacity part of Tryp, but he did the best that he can in the place. And Greg, again,
Okay.
I know both of you guys are talking about,
But that's only after Greg got put in place, right? So he tried his aggressive bullying and he got put in place. So nobody's perfect. I'll give him that.
This partisanship is worth nothing.
Right.
And I know you guys are having fun. Dave and Rideshare Professor and Greg, all of you, come on, man.
We're not.
Don't do it. Yeah, come on, guys.
Get along because you guys have a responsibility. You guys are the voice for
We are
rights,
looking
right?
for
You guys have a
direction
responsibility to
on
help save
the
innocent people,
class action
sort of
suit.
get together, right?
We
so not to
are
attack each other
not
back and forth. So
here.
that's all I'm going to say on this topic, and hopefully we can be greater than ourselves and set the record straight for sure. Okay, so let's kind of get into some of the other questions that are coming through. What else are we getting?
Well, we still need to address people getting their money back.
Yes, okay, that's what we got to do. We keep getting off track from that. All right, so why class action lawsuit? That in fact the Rideshare Professor and a couple other people have brought up as well. So when you do a class action lawsuit, you have to figure out how you can get money out from somebody to pay people, right? So if you take a class action lawsuit against a company that doesn't have any money, almost no lawyer is going to pick that up. So you almost have to figure out what's the next best thing that you can do. There are other ways that people can get refunds. One is obviously contact Tryp. If you want to get your money, contact Tryp to get it back. Now, obviously, that's not been very helpful in the past. Well, if I purchase something from a service, let's say I purchased a subscription and I didn't get what I deserve, then what can I do to get my money back? Well, I can call my credit card company and bank to actually tell them, dude, these guys, they said that they were going to deliver product and service to me. It never got delivered. What did you pay for? If you're a driver, you paid for the driver app to be able to drive. If
You paid for background checks, and we'll have all these as sources on the page so you can show that they never paid for the background checks.
Right.
Right? So when you say that they were saying they were going to pay for a background check, well, they never paid the background check company. So you have some sort of
You can
proof,
use
right?
the links, you can use this video, you can use documents to submit information to your bank to try to get what's called a charge back, right? You can dispute the charge on your actual credit card and bank statement, and that's probably your strongest way to get your money back. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you should do for Tryp because they're probably going to come after me for encouraging people to do chargebacks. What I'm saying is, if I wanted to get my money back for a service that I didn't receive, the fact is that I can either ask for a refund from that company or I can dispute the charge with my credit card company and they will return me the money as long as I can provide evidence that I didn't get that product or service. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't do a class action lawsuit? Absolutely not. I think we should still do a class action lawsuit. One of the ways that you can do that is right now, if you go to TrypRidesLawsuit.com, click on live event and you submit your information there, we will have all of the emails ready that we're going to hand off to attorneys that will probably work with folks like the Rideshare Professor, will work with the Attorney General to get those emails over to those folks, and we'll probably reach out to you and say, have you requested a refund? Have you gotten that refund? Have you not? We'll assist in finding the right people to get the lawsuit started. I'll probably put up a separate page that's dedicated to the class action lawsuit part on the Tryp Rides Lawsuit website as well. But how do you find out about that is you make sure you subscribe to this channel, and you also, hopefully, Professor and Mark and Greg and Yolancy and Dave, you guys will allow us to come on your channels to speak to your audience, do a Q&A like this, and help them get the word out about how they can get their money back as well if they want, or also tell the truth about what's going on with Tryp. So that's sort of how you get your money back. If you have any questions about what I just suggested, go ahead and add them in the comments. But in the meantime, we're going to move on to other questions that we're getting. Can you pull up some of the questions from the emails?
Yeah.
And I'll go through the comments here, guys, and look at what else we want to talk about. So Trey, I just answered the question about how to get the money back. One is, call your credit card company if you can.
So many people are saying, like, why wasn't so many of these questions that I've received in the emails have already been answered, but we can kind of touch on some of it again. Like, why wasn't the technology ever ready? Well, and someone asked, did we ever have 40 developers? Like, cause I think you had mentioned to Dave Newberg that we had 40 developers at one point. At one point, we did have close to 40 developers. That was for a very short window of time, and we had to scale back the development team quite a bit because we weren't paying them. The last time the development team got paid was what, September?
The last time developers got paid, November 22nd was the last payment. Yeah.
November 22nd.
But there's past due bills from work done in September, so the bill is actually due from September.
Guys, they didn't even pay the initial deposit
until August 21st. The initial deposit wasn't paid in full until 4 days after the Miami launch. It's insane.
Right. And Taha was paying the developers just to keep the app going out of his own pocket. You paid what, $23,000?
I paid $13,000 in October. I paid $10,000 on December 31st, I believe, because no one else was willing to pay any money. And it's like, how do you continue to build an app? We're trying to launch New York. How do you continue to do that?
Yeah, so the way tech works, is like you have to be able to scale your development team in order to be able to handle the volume that we were hoping to handle in a market like New York or Miami. So when you can't make those payments to that development team, you can't add the necessary qualified individuals who are really good at certain aspects of development. You're having people kind of overlap into different roles. And
Hey, is there still coffee left?
Super thin. You can't really get the goal accomplished.
Okay, this is a good question coming up. What happened in Miami? So guys, let's get into that a little bit.
Miami, dude.
How about getting paid for all the time we spent, all the expenses? So I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this question right here, Trey, from you.
They didn't get any money. That's the problem. These guys didn't even get paid towards the end. They probably the way Rob McNulty and Rhett did it, they probably had these guys even put money in. Because they bought into this fictitious.
If you guys noticed, I was actually going on YouTube channels. I went on the Entrepreneurs channel on Mark from Uber Hints. He's now Mark Travel Time. I did some chats with the Rideshare professor defending Tryp and like how Tryp's actually making good changes, because that's what I believe to be the case. However, behind the scenes, what's happening was extremely, extremely discouraging, right? So let's kind of get into what happened there. So let's kind of look at the Miami situation, and I'll share my screen on this. And again, this is all available at TrypRidesLawsuit.com, guys. So in Miami, and this is the insane thing, right? Nick hit on some of these points already. We have an article here that says Tryp Rides wants to pay 100% of the fare to drivers, but had no way to do it. Right. So you can actually click on some of the links that are in here right now. We're going to do a separate video that's going to talk in detail about this. By the way, we also have a podcast that we're going to be launching by tomorrow, and it's called Tryp Rides Lawsuit, of all things. You'll be able to find it in a couple of days as it propagates on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and anywhere where you listen to your podcast. We really want to make sure we get the word out. So this is this right here is some detail about what was happening in Miami. So Tryp Rides, this is the payment provider, by the way, that was actually supposed to be providing the driver merchant accounts to actually be able to take ride requests in Miami, right? So what's happening in Miami? By the time we were doing the launch event, because Bob McNulty actually forced us to, he had a tendency, in my opinion and observation, to continue to make agreements and contracts that we couldn't really live up to. And that's exactly what happened in this case.
That's a good statement.
Zoom out here a little bit so
He was
you guys can see
making all of these agreements that these guys couldn't live up to.
I can do that. Okay, so the screen should be fully visible at this point. Thanks, Rideshare Professor. We're definitely going to be reaching out to you on this as well. All right, so here's the. I think there's another part of this also shared on the 13 reasons why we left Tryp Rides. So I'll bring that article up as well, because both of these will relate together. So just one moment, guys. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for asking the questions. Thank you for standing up. Okay, there it is, and I get into these reasons down here. Okay, so we have. Making decisions without executive team.
Tim,
Drivers.
peace and much love to you, brother.
There's a payment provider one.
I'm already out of quarantine stacks. I need more. It's Easter. I got a lot of chocolate today.
I know I said the bottom. Payment provider. Alright, I have to look for that a little bit later, but let me share the screenshots here right now where we talk about this. So what was happening in Miami is prior to Miami launching, because Bob had, over a phone call, what it seemed like, got us into a relationship with a payment provider that is currently, was in one of the most recent weekly calls, now going to help Tryp make international payments, right? Now, I don't want to defame the payment provider because they do whatever they do decently well, but this payment provider, when we first joined them, didn't even have the ability to do credit card tokenization. And again, what that means is that we're a subscription-based company, or Tryp was a subscription-based company. So in order to process subscriptions, the credit card needs to be able to take your credit card, the credit card provider needs to be able to take your credit card information, your credit card number, your expiration date, your name, and be able to tokenize it, encrypt it, and save it in a PCI-compliant manner. So as you can see on my screen here, I'll share this part right here. As soon as you got into this engagement, because Bob decided to engage with them without even doing technical vetting first with me, so you can kind of look at this. Zoom out a little bit.
You know what I'm talking about too? PCI compliance.
Yep, we can get into that here in a second. So take a look at this, guys, on my screen. So this is from 8th of July. So I'm talking to this guy who's the representative, Ken. If you guys remember,
8th of July, 2019.
From a couple of days back. And in that call, Ken was actually on that call talking about how they're going to be opening up to international payments. This is something they do on a regular basis. Every week they'll bring somebody else on to distract from the reality of what's going on. This same payment provider wasn't even able to do basic credit card tokenization. And I talk about this there. I say, so coming back to our request, we need an API
That's so much evidence.
Reusable tokens, so we don't have to store credit card info, right? Is that easily seeable on the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go up a little bit on this.
Cruising limousine.
Right here. Perfect.
Is this a sign that all major rideshare companies get to a point where they start imploding?
Many of the providers to do a tokenization to ensure that our scope with PCI compliance is limited. So they say this on the 8th of July, right? Now over here, we say Bob got us an engagement with this payment provider and was adamant on using them without conducting any technical due diligence, right? Let me kind of move this a little bit more so that it's easy to see.
Boy, they sure have all their evidence stacked up, right? They're showing all their cards right now. But they're showing Rhett, Bob McNulty, Eric, Bishop, all of those guys.
Didn't even have credit card tokenization in place and lacked the ability. So here's another kicker. They couldn't process more than one transaction at a time from a single location. To explain that in an analogy, imagine that you're a store right now, and here's a customer trying to purchase a product. Let's say it's this mug right here, right next to awesome bronze cup, and there's another customer that's trying to purchase the water bottle, right? So this customer starts to pay for it, and there's 3 API calls that happen in that. So the first API call starts to start the payment process, and the second customer wants to buy at the same time. As soon as the second customer's payment starts, the first one fails. So they didn't have the ability to do
Chris Bowman in the house.
which is something I would have found out in 15 minutes of technical vetting. So this
Chris
is the kind of
Tryp needs a bailout from the feds. They're not going to get it. They're not even going to get the keys to the prison cell once they locked up. They're going to throw those keys away.
Are wondering why we moved away from MLM is from a technical standpoint because of the fact that we were MLM and because of the fact that Bob, from what he told me, had been kicked out of Wells Fargo and many other
Good participation here, though. I've been reading a lot of the guys.
We can all let our imaginations work on that. He couldn't get with a proper payment provider. He wouldn't get.
Jose Gonzalez says, once I saw an Uber ad on the Facebook group, has around 8,000 members. That's not true.
What got much worse is
I don't have that many.
on July 8th,
Dave's mixing it up in the room. There's Dave, the Uber slave.
They saying, I'll
Dave
talk to my
says,
dev team,
does
and we'll
y'all
be able to create
know
new
what's going
APIs
on
to
now?
organization in 48 hours. So now you'll understand all the delays because I couldn't, as a CTO, I recommended that we work with companies like Stripe, that we work with companies like Braintree, because Braintree handles transactions at scale with Uber. Stripe handles transactions at scale with Lyft. I'm going to give my technology the best chance to succeed.
You write a
I'm being
message?
forced by Bob McNulty, who his technical ability, you can be the judge of yourself. He's forcing us to get in an agreement with a startup, essentially, of payment providers who don't even have credit card tokenization in place. So on 9th of July, they tell us that they can finish what we need in 48 hours, right? So I say, okay, thanks. I ask him,
Panda.
Pakistan, and they are. Talk about I migrated 14 years ago, so on and so forth, just building a relationship with them. Okay, so later on in the evening, they go on to tell us how the API will work. So you kind of read through the details if you want. I say, perfect. I ask for some more requirements. Now, July 8th, they claim they can deliver the API to us in how long? In 48 hours, right?
48
There's
hours.
July 10th,
Dream
48
on.
hours later, right? And I'll kind of zoom down a little bit here because that part is a little bit tricky to zoom in.
I mean, their presentation of the evidence is great. But like I say, I'm going to repeat myself like a parrot here. They're showing all the evidence to scare the parties, right? They have a personal lawsuit against them. They're saying, basically, essentially telling them, hey, we have all the evidence. We're going to put it all out there if you don't settle with us right now. These guys want a settlement, no doubt about it. But the bigger picture here is that they've already been brave enough to leave the company. They're whistleblowers, right? And they've done an amazing job by doing that. They've had tremendous courage by leaving and exposing this fraudulent company. Now the question is, show a roadmap, show the ways all the drivers that have been affected by this, right? Show them a way out, show them where they can participate, what the case number is, how they can join with a class action lawsuit. And if I can send Taha any advice, he emailed me late last night and he's emailed me throughout 2019. The advice that I can give this gentleman is next round, bring an attorney onto the show. Bring an attorney onto the show and let the attorney talk, right? And let the attorney connect with all those thousands and thousands and thousands of affected drivers. So they've already laid the foundation. They've showed you we have all the evidence. Now it's time to join and you let the attorney talk.
I did not advise on. Like, I didn't advise to go with the previous background
They
check.
didn't have the technological capabilities to
It's just-
deal with what we were trying to
Just
do.
understand, these are tech guys and I love them. Look, I mean, I didn't love them while they were part of Tryp and selling the Tryp Kool-Aid, but I love them for the fact that they have gone out and been brave enough and have had the courage enough to help thousands of drivers and stand up to that bullying. That's what I love them for, right? And if they have spent tens of thousands of dollars, they should bring that attorney onto the show. That attorney is going to get a lot of new clients. I'll be reporting on it if there's an attorney in the middle of them. But now they need to take it to the next step.
So now pay attention to some of these dates here, guys. This is going to blow you away, right?
It's going to blow you away.
Look at the date, August 19th. When did the event in Miami happen? If you don't remember, it was 17th of August. So this is 2 days after that event, and they hadn't provided us even the APIs to create driver merchant accounts for Miami launch. I was freaking out because this is where I'm trapped in, right? This is why I wanted to move
So
away
put him
from
in this
MLM.
situation. He
Why?
says, this is where I'm
Because
trapped in.
Stripe would not even allow. Stripe doesn't work with MLMs. Most
See?
payment providers scale don't work with
MLM.
MLMs. So
Stripe doesn't
from a
work with them. It's the
technological
first time I've heard him say
standpoint,
MLM.
there's no way a rideshare with MLM, and this is my opinion of what's happening with many other rideshares too, White Rides and many others.
So
is
you
they're gonna run into the
are
similar
admitting
issues, in my opinion, from a technological skill
that
standpoint,
this
that Tryp ran into.
is an
MLM
MLM.
and rideshare don't go together. The technological.
There we go.
The technological capabilities just don't add
It's
up.
what they call high risk.
So
companies.
if you
And so companies like
knew
Stripe and Braintree won't
MLM
work with high risk companies, but they're the only ones that can handle the volume.
So if you
that,
knew MLM
rideshare
did
companies
not
would need.
go
So
with
So this is insane. Let's read this. This is
Rideshare,
Ken, who, again, let me refer
Taha,
to who he is.
why did you
He's
join
guy
the
that came
company?
on a call recently with you guys, talking about how they're going to be able to take international payments and pay people with a debit card, and it's so great, right?
This is what the defendant's attorney is going to ask. If you knew, or if you stated that this was an MLM, and MLM doesn't fit with rideshare, why did you take this position on in the first place?
So deal with it, right? So if there was product that was deliverable, we would have seen it. I wanted to give you, here's what he says, I wanted to give you an honest answer of where everything is at. I know there's been a lot of back and forth, and I don't want you to think we're stalling.
They all work for free. That's the funny thing. Look, in the psychology of a bully will get a lot of people to work for free, right? We know of many situations of this throughout history. Right now, in fact, you know, when you get someone into submission and they are basically from a psychological standpoint and you're bullying them and they see you as the alpha and they see themselves, it's like a cult leader, right? A cult leader will get these people to do anything. Anything.
A full day before a merchant account can be issued, that's great. But
even
says they cannot support
Uberman Tampa, thank you. Taha even pulled $2,000 out of his own bank account to pay employees. That just means that he cares about them. And at that moment he pulled that $2,000, he probably thought, this is wrong. I'm taking my own money to pay people. I need to leave.
Specific elements, right? Professor, great question. Why did I join if MLMs don't go with rideshare? Is because I was presented a different story when I first interviewed with Bob. He had all the payment providers, all these issues figured out and in place, just like many other people. We'll get into that in a separate video. It's a phenomenal question. I'll get into that. But in this specific case,
he said it's a phenomenal question.
He goes on to
I appreciate you saying that. But he said it's a good question. It's a valid question. It's a question an attorney will ask.
I would say 5 to 7 days for us to truly complete this integration. So again, he's giving a week. August 19th. He's saying in 1 week he can give us the APIs to be able to be able to create driver merchant accounts. Right? At this point, I didn't want to believe anything the guy was saying. Right? So check this out. What happens afterwards? August 19th, he says 7 days he can give us APIs.
The company they were working on
22 days after
who was in Pakistan has not been paid since August. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that, Uberman Tampa. I did not know that.
At this point, he had already
the CEO is no stranger to the legal system. He has been in trouble. Bob McNulty has a washing list of cases, lawsuits.
Great companies out there, Rideshare Professor, you mentioned about Amway and Herbalife and so on and so forth. I'm not even saying anything against the folks who love MLM companies and love to create a future for themselves and have the entrepreneurial spirit that joined Tryp because they believed in the MLM side. I'm just stating the facts from a technological standpoint. It just doesn't connect, right? And that's what I have to state over here, right? So again, I'm going to request that don't go out and attacking all the people that love MLM and supported Tryp because they love the MLM side. Please understand that those people were also tricked, in my opinion, because look at this. Like, Rideshare Professor, you asked that why is it that you joined the company if MLMs don't work? Well, I myself, as smart as I think of myself to be, there was a cover pulled over my eyes, right? So what chance do people have who didn't have the inside information? This is a great disservice that's happening. So, guys, what happened in Miami then? Going back to Trey's question, Trey, you asked about this earlier. Can you take Trey's comment off the screen? Sorry, let me go ahead and take that off the screen so that you can see this in detail and read it. And I'll pull it up over here so you can read this yourself. So specifically, the reason what happened in Miami.
So you asked, why did I join? And I have to clarify that. I know he's questioning my knowledge of an MLM. I know MLMs. I've been part of MLMs. I've been part of Herbalife. I've been part of Jeunesse, right? I know how MLMs work, and I've seen many MLMs fail. But rideshare and MLM just did not gel in this situation. He then turns the question around against me and says, why did I join the MLM? I went to that first meeting where they took pictures of me saying I joined the company, hadn't even joined the company. They were using me and my channel as an endorsement, which was not fact. I hadn't even signed up. I can take you back to the date I went to that meeting. I attacked them and said, you may not use my picture saying that this is an endorsement. It's not an endorsement. Then I thought, okay, now I know what these guys are up to. They're just using people to sell their story, which is how the MLM hype works. So I signed up to get into the back, like a spy does, right? Like a KGB infiltrates an organization to get into their system, to understand what these guys were doing. And that was completely worth the $149 for me to have all the dirt on this company, to be on the inside, right? And once you're on the inside, you get a code. Once you're on a code, you get into those Facebook rooms. You needed that code to say, hey, I paid the $49. Otherwise, you wouldn't get into all these rooms. I was in these rooms because I bought my way in to extract the knowledge. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
I wrote that on the blog. Yeah. There's an article describing all that in detail, how we didn't even have insurance in Miami, which was why we had to go to New York.
That's a great thing to talk about.
We do have a video about it, but we'll touch on it as well.
But the thing to talk about is why Miami. Do you guys want to know? If you guys want to know, tell us in the comments so we can kind of dictate how this call goes. I know it's 2 hours 49 minutes, but there's still 68 of you on here. Feel free to drop off anytime because there's going to be a recording queue. I really said there's not going to be any time because we're still getting questions.
I'm going to be about 5 more minutes because then the members of this house have to get into another live stream, an Easter live stream.
To New York, right? Like, what the heck happened? Well, another thing that we didn't know about at that point, and this is again shared in TrypRidesLawsuit.com, article. In fact, the article that Nick wrote, like Tryp Rides gave uninsured rides in Miami. I, as the executive of the company, as the chief technology officer, didn't have any idea that we don't have active insurance coverage, and it wasn't connecting because to make insurance work in the app, you have to integrate with something called ZenDrive, right? And that's not the ZenDrive feature that.
All right, my friends, I think they have shown more than enough evidence, right? I think they have used this opportunity at the Tryp Funeral, as I call it, to expose the players, show the correspondence, show the names. I think they've done a great job with that. I will definitely be writing a personal email. I go back and forth with Taha quite a bit. In fact, he was asking if I had any job availabilities, and I didn't want to let anyone, into our world knowing that they came from that virus, right? So he detached himself from the virus, as he explained. Now he gets this golden opportunity, and I would highly, highly suggest he sets up another meeting, right, online, and has an attorney present that then presents to the drivers, thousands of them. This is the game plan, how you get your money back. Okay, we've established this is fraud. Now here are the steps how you get paid, how you get your $149 back. Right, we don't have to overkill it. Gio has always made fun of them, correct. Dave has made fun of them to a certain extent. Kevin has made fun of them to a certain extent. Dustin has definitely made fun of them. I have made fun of them, and we've had a good time. I mean, we've had a good, fun, Kool-Aid run with Tryp, right? So I'm going to end this here. Anybody that can rally and give their final thumbs up, I need to get out, need to get going with my day. But happy Easter, everyone. Spend this day with your family. This is a day for the little ones, right? Where the kids go to get to enjoy themselves and find all the Easter eggs and see what the Easter Bunny has brought. So have an amazing day. Thank you for the 44 likes. Thank you for the time. And again, thank you to these two gentlemen for having the courage to leave and expose these people, right? And do call upon us if you need our support. We're here to support you. And I got to go because they started another live stream in the neighboring room. It's an Easter live stream that they're doing with family members. So I'm keeping it rather low right now. So happy Easter, everyone. Enjoy your Easter eggs. Eat a lot of sugar. Eat a ton of chocolate. Fill your bellies with chocolate, more Easter Bunny chocolate, Cadbury chocolate, Sears chocolate, Hershey's chocolate, whatever chocolate you can find. Just eat it, eat it, eat it. Piles of chocolate today, okay? Love you all. Thank you, and have an amazing day, my friends. So